Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, April 11th, 2016. I'm Lafern Fraser with the details. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves says it is time to confront the issue of poor teaching in schools in an effort to improve the quality of education here in SVG. Dr. Gonsalves was at the time delivering the feature address at the National Awards ceremony on Friday in recognition and celebration of scholastic achievements in the May-June 2015 Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate or CSEC and the Caribbean Primary Exit Assessment or CPEA examinations. The Prime Minister told the audience research shows that up to 10% of the student population has a learning disability, adding that teachers should be equipped with the knowledge to identify and assist these students, but there are a number of teachers who fail to do so. Additionally, the Prime Minister says that there is a need for quality teaching and leadership so that all students can excel at their studies by mastering the basics of reading and writing to reach their full academic potential.
If you have 30 children in your class in grade 6, you are likely to have 3 persons in that class with some learning disability. No more than 3. But you're trained at Teachers College to identify the learning disability. It might be dyslexia, it might be attention deficit disorder, and that should be recognized earlier. And there are corrective techniques in education, and that's why you need quality teaching and a quality leadership which just doesn't turn up to work and oversees in some loose administrative manner what takes place in the school.
Dr. Gonsalves further noted that there is a need for a retooling program to determine the bad teachers from the good in an effort to keep improving the country's education system. Dr. Gonsalves noted that children are very valuable to the sustainability and development of SVG, which he says is evident by the great investments in education, and expects that they receive a good quality education.
I make this plea, and we have, for those teachers who are not up to scratch, we have to have a program of retooling. And if they fail and or refuse to take the retooling, they should be invited to seek alternative employment within. You don't put anybody on the breadline, because the children are so precious, and we're spending 3 times the amount of money we're spending on education. In 2001, I know it, I know the numbers. I know the numbers. I mean, every month, for the teachers, the civil servants, the police, the nurses, the doctors, I have to find $28 million every single month.
The Prime Minister also pointed out the need for teachers pursuing a degree to focus more on core subjects and not always education management, because according to him, not everyone can acquire a position at the curriculum division.
Because what happens as soon as somebody gets a degree in education, they want to go in curriculum. They believe that they can do what the chief education is doing better than her. What we have to do is have a focus on teaching and leadership in the schools. I come back to that. And I'm making the plea. And we have, look, there were 4 primary school teachers in 2001 who had a university degree. 4, not 4%, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you have 600. We have had to deploy some, or more than 600, we have to deploy some in secondary schools because of the falling population in the primary schools.
And Minister of Education Sinclair Jimmy Prince says the government is committed to ensuring that outstanding achievements by students are recognized and celebrated in a meaningful way.
We at the ministry clearly are cognizant that in order for us to produce well-rounded students and eventual productive citizens, it is necessary for us not only to focus on academic development, but also to place equal emphasis on sound values, life skills, character building, physical literacy skills, and the general broadening of the knowledge base. These, ladies and gentlemen, the students, are the fundamental underpinnings of the education revolution. And the evidence of our thrust bearing fruits is right before us today in the persons of these young achievers. It is my wish and that of my ministry that you will continue along this path, a path which must be characterized by your developing and nurturing a culture of hard work, determination, discipline, success, commitment, and honesty.
Prince says the ministry is well aware of their mandate and mission not only to focus on the achievers but also those with challenges. He adds that this responsibility is taken very seriously and they're working to ensure that no one gets left behind and that learning continues to take place at every level of the education system.
The ministry is currently partnering with other government ministries and departments and stakeholders to provide interventions and the supporting environments that will allow us to achieve this enviable goal. We therefore urge each student to perform to the best of his or her ability at whatever level you find yourself, and we implore you to grab the opportunities presented to you. It goes without saying, ladies and gentlemen, students, that our teachers have a vitally important role to play in order for these interventions to be successful, and for the most part they have been delivering. However, I wish to humbly submit that more can be done as the results in some areas do not reflect the resources we have made and are currently making available to you. And we've been saying this for the past few months because we feel seriously that we can do more at the school level so that we will not fail our students.
A one-day symposium for the Youth Empowerment Services, or the YES participants, under the theme Empowering Vincentian Youth for the 21st Century Job Market will be held here tomorrow. The symposium will be hosted by the Youth Affairs Division within the Ministry of National Mobilization, Social Development, etc., with responsibility for the YES program. The event is intended to provide in-service training to participants geared toward personal development and will be held at the Methodist Church Hall commencing at 9 a.m. A large black flag was flying at half-mast today at the St. Vincent Grammar School as teachers and students are mourning the loss of 15-year-old Achille Latham, who drowned on the Grenadine island of Bequia on Saturday, April 9th. Police reports are that the fourth form student from North Union was on a field trip with his teachers and fellow young leaders when he experienced difficulties in the water. The body of the teenager was later found around 3 p.m. Latham, who was a science student, was also an executive member of the Grammar School Young Leaders, president of the Inter-Christian Fellowship Group, and vice president of the school's Heritage Club. When SVG-TV News visited the school today, Principal Curtis King was trying to hold back the tears as he spoke of the challenge of trying to help students and staff come to terms with the loss. King says since the incident, they have been receiving tremendous support from the Ministry of Education through its counselors and education officials, as well as other members of the public. According to King, he was at a wedding ceremony when he received the news of the death of one of his students.
The extended family of the St. Vincent Grammar School has been plunged in a state of mourning for yet again one of our very young members. I mean, at 15 years old, you have your whole life ahead of you, and for one with so much of promise, it's hard. It's difficult. Achille was just a wonderful student, and this most unfortunate incident has really put us in a state of shock once again. That one full of so much potential, so much promise, could have passed on just like that. And so it is difficult, and yes, we are trying as best as we can to deal with this difficulty.
King appeals to persons to give comfort and empathize with the grieving family at this time.
Encourage Achilles' mom, his immediate family, to be strong in this very difficult time. And the most we can do at the present time is to lift them up in our prayers and continue to provide whatever support we can during these difficult times. And of course, those students who are severely affected, traumatized by this experience, we will continue to offer them whatever support we can to help them to overcome their grief and to return to a state of normalcy.
And counselor at the St. Vincent Boys Grammar School, Heather McCommon, says this is a traumatic time for the student population. McCommon explained that some students will go through the grieving process differently as a gamut of emotions will overwhelm them. The counselor advised parents to allow their children to heal.
Any one of those stages are denied, then it is going to cause a problem, to get to the end where you want the person to get to. So first of all, the students are going to be experiencing emotions such as anger, sadness, guilt. And after that, they may even, be thinking about, yawning, this feelings of yawning for their classmates or the schoolmate. Where is Akili? Why? And they're going to be having all sorts of questions. And this can run them into a situation of disorganization and despair, where they go further into these feelings that can cause feelings of depression, and further anger, and even sometimes self-blame and guilt.
She also shared another recommendation for parents to get the children through the grieving process.
Parents need to be supportive of their children at this time. So you have to be there for them. And I spoke about the need to isolate. When you see them in that wanting to go to their rooms and lock away and so on, discourage it in a very nice way, in a positive way. So you're not going to be coming down on them with a ton of brick. You have to understand what is happening. But that's allowing them to, encouraging them to interact with the family, is going to help to take their minds off of things. So create opportunities for them to interact with, the rest of the family members in a very nice way, rather than, getting on them too harshly. And also, you will know your children, and you will know the kinds of things that they enjoy doing.
We at SVG-TV extend sincere condolences to the family of Akili Latham. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment says it has received notification of another laboratory-confirmed case of Zika here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The recorded case is said to be that of a 31-year-old female from the Kingstown area. However, according to the ministry, based on the history of recent travel and the onset of symptoms being a day after return to the state, it has been concluded that this case is not an instance of local transmission, but rather one that was obtained abroad. The ministry says it continues to intensify its efforts in a targeted approach to effectively tackle the Aedes aegypti mosquito and the Zika virus. Persons here are being urged to continue to take the necessary steps to protect themselves and give support to the ministry as it ramps up efforts to fight the mosquitoes and the Zika virus with the national cleanup campaigns. The ministry further states that it has taken precautionary measures and will continue to take the necessary steps to minimize the probability of a major outbreak. Minister of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries and Rural Transformation, Suboto Caesar, says his ministry remains committed to the cause of conservation. Caesar was at the time addressing the launch of the Sea Turtle Conservation Training Project today, which is a collaborative effort with the SVG National Parks, Rivers and Beaches Authority. He thanked the SVG Preservation Fund for their continued work in the area of preservation of sea turtles and their success in the implementation of the project, and gives the commitment of his ministry in ensuring that the project continues to be successful.
The Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries and Rural Transformation, we stand very committed. We do not only have a local obligation, an original one, but we are part of a global sphere, and we have to honor our international commitments. And we are going to do everything to ensure that this project succeeds, that persons are trained, are tooled, and some persons are retooled, and we see the necessary spill-offs which will take place in the economy.
Caesar added that his ministry will soon be implementing its 100-day plan, which involves national consultation with stakeholders in order to create a policy for the further conservation of sea turtles.
We are going to speak with stakeholders throughout the length and breadth of this country to get the information, because it is from that we can make good policy decisions. But there is a particular point in the plan, in the 100 days plan, that is going to address at the consultations the issue of further protecting the turtles. Some persons may say you might have to go to the length of having a total ban on some of the turtles. You might have to have a moratorium. It will have to be discussed, and we have to hear from citizens how long this moratorium should be, and we would have the technical support.
Meanwhile, Fisheries Officer Chris Isaacs pointed out that turtles face many challenges inclusive of climate change, littered oceans, and illegal poachers, which threaten the sustainability of the sea turtle population. Isaacs lamented that while regulations are in place to protect sea turtles, many persons continue to poach illegally, and expressed gratitude to the SVG Preservation Fund for their contribution of $7,000, which would go a long way in creating positive change and ensuring the recovery and continued existence of sea turtles in our waters.
It is therefore with great elation this morning that on behalf of the Fisheries Division and by extent the Ministry of Agriculture, that we extend heartfelt appreciation and a big thank you to the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Preservation Fund for providing the monetary contribution necessary for this project. The capacity building for conservation of sea turtles in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. As the week progresses and we meet with the different communities, we look forward to increased awareness at the community level and at the national level. And it is certainly my wish that it will not only lead to improved monitoring on our beaches, but also it will aid in the reduction of the negative practices which are carried out on our marine turtles.
2 Vincentian nationals were reportedly arrested in Antigua over the weekend with 533 pounds of compressed marijuana and 5.6 kilos of cocaine. The men, 70-year-old Marcus Richards and Eskine Taub, were reportedly apprehended during an operation by the Antiguan police in the Shell Beach area. The cannabis has an estimated wholesale value of just over $1 million EC, while the estimated wholesale value of the cocaine was placed at just over 197,000 EC. Both men were charged with possession of cannabis with intent to supply, being concerned in the supply of cannabis, and drug trafficking, while they also received additional charges of possession of cocaine and being concerned in the supply of cocaine and drug trafficking. They were expected to face court today. 5 Optimist sailboats were ferried to Mayo on Saturday by the Full Click family, who are starting a youth sailing program leading up to Mayo's 10th annual regatta. President of the Full Click family, Amani Cupid, said they took on the project in partnership with the Regatta and Sporting Committee so that Mayo young folks can learn about sailing and carrying on the tradition of their ancestors. The small craft were loaned to Mayo by Nicholas Dulac, owner of Union Island's Captain Gourmet and Happy Kites, who expressed hope that Mayo's junior sailing program will take off and that a similar venture will get started on Union Island as well. The Full Click family, which is a 19-member group, will work with 3 award-winning sailboat captains to put the training program in place. They include Michael Oliver, Samuel Ford, and Adolphus Ford. They'll be training kids aged 10 to 17 so that they can try out the sport and also compete in Mayo's regatta, which will run from April 28th through May 1st. The youth sailing program is the second project the group has undertaken. Group members recently assisted with upgrade work at the Mayo Government School. The New Kingstown Chorale will continue with its 60th anniversary celebration this weekend with a Thanksgiving service. The event is scheduled to be at the Kingstown Methodist Church on Sunday, April 17th from 5 p.m., which at a media briefing earlier today, one of the coordinators, John Horn, used the opportunity to explain more about the work of the group and invited everyone to the Thanksgiving service.
We sing anything. We sing anything from classical music right down to calypso. Tasteful music, of course. And we do traditional, we do gospel, we do religious, we do contemporary, we do folk, we do calypso, as I say. And in any one of our shows, you can be sure to find a wide range of music. We do Christmas shows, we do religious shows, we do secular shows, we have had Valentine shows, we have sung for 9 mornings, we have sung for Starlift, we have sung for funerals, we have sung for weddings, and we sing whenever we can.
The business manager of the group wants the public to know of some of the activities they have in store for 2016 in honor of their 60th anniversary.
To do is to showcase much of the local music, because sometimes I think we are one of the few groups that still would do a lot of local music, and we want to continue with that. We don't want to let our local music die. And we are hoping to do some community outreach work where we are hoping to take the chorale into different communities. We are entertaining thoughts of having a Christmas show in December. We are hoping that the public would like what we have to present over this year as we have our programs.